Today I'm going to show you how I did a full repair on this old broken chair. Now this chair belongs to a friend of mine and it used to be her grandmother's, so there's a lot of sentimental value with it. It had been broken a while back and somewhat hastily repaired, and that really needed to be addressed. So her main goal for me was to get the chair functional again. My goal was to have it look a little better than it did, take away some of the years of abuse and neglect, while still retaining some of its character from its years in her grandmother's house. The front leg of this chair was broken and somebody repaired it with shelf brackets. So I needed to take all of this back apart and really assess how this leg should function and what it's going to take to fix it both structurally and cosmetically. I couldn't figure out what was sticking this leg to the seat fabric. I finally was able to carefully get it off and realized somebody had used hot glue to make the repair as well as the shelf brackets. So this hot glue needed to come off. I applied a little heat and that seemed to work, but I wanted to be really careful not to damage the fabric. So this took a little bit of time, applying heat and carefully removing as much of the glue as I could. Now there was a little bit left over, but it was a lot better than it was to begin with. Now getting back to the leg, I took everything apart to figure out what was broken and how to repair it. Even one of the metal inserts was broken, so this was going to be something that needed a full repair. I started by cleaning things up, just getting the rest of the glue and really being able to try to assess what it was going to take to make the repair on this leg to where it's going to be as strong, if not even stronger, than it was originally. I made a measurement of the damage on the wood and then marked it up so that I could cut this damaged area completely out. I'm going to use the taper jig on my table saw to make the cuts I need to remove the material from the chair leg. Now because this chair leg is kind of irregularly shaped, I need to be able to clamp it very precisely to keep it square to the table saw. I was able to remove a large portion of the broken wood, and I'm pleased to say that the cuts came out almost perfectly square. We got a nice piece of maple that's got relatively square sides, so I'm going to use this to fill in where the broken wood was. I'll cut it out on the bandsaw and then shape it to match the rest of the leg, and we'll go from there. I'm going to use wood filler to fill in the screw holes and in some of the gaps around where things broke. Now this has to be put in kind of in layers. It won't dry if you try to put it on too thick. So I'm going to do one pass, then I'll come back and do another pass and get everything filled in. It looks messy now, but I'll get the sandpaper after it and make it all nice and smooth. And now the leg is fully repaired and shaped to fit back in place. Now we need to get it stained. And this was the trickiest part of this whole process, matching the stain to the rest of the chair. I started with this black cherry based on a sample I took to the store. Looked like it would be a good match, and I started applying it. This wood stain is meant to be applied in layers. So you put a coat on, wait a little bit, and then wipe it back off, and you build that up over time to match the rest of the chair. In this case, as I went forward, every layer I put on of the black cherry stain didn't quite match the rest of the chair, and so I had to come up with another solution and see if I can match it. Once I came to the realization this wasn't working the way I thought it was going to, I decided to sand both sides of this leg all the way down to the bottom. That way I can apply a single stain all the way across and not try to blend it in. I picked up another can of stain that I felt better matched the base of the stain on the rest of the chair and started applying that. And as soon as I did, I realized this was definitely going to get me a lot closer to that final product. This second stain got me so much closer to the original color of the chair. And I noticed there were some darker highlights or shadows in the chair stain. So I thought I'd try to match that using the original black cherry stain. I was really pleased and quite surprised that this turned out as well as it did, and it matches the original stain of the chair almost perfectly. And now it's time to reassemble the chair. I've got the legs strapped into place and I made sure everything's nice and square. I'm using a drill bit to mark where I need to drill the holes for the bolts that'll hold this in place. Bolt holes need to be drilled on a 45-degree angle, so these welding squares came in handy for keeping this in place while I was drilling. And now I can install the threaded inserts for the bolts. I use a little bit of wood glue to make sure that connection's nice and strong. With the leg fixed and back in place, it's time to focus on some more repairs this chair needs, some touch-ups, and then I can call it done. The first thing to focus on is this crack up at the top of the chair. My original thought is that I could clamp this back in place, put some glue in here, and use the force of the clamps to kind of force it back together. As I was clamping the chair up, trying to close off this crack, there was no movement to the wood. The crack didn't close. And after sitting overnight to let the glue dry, that was still the case. So I determined there wasn't any structural integrity compromised with this crack, and it just needed to be filled in. I masked off the fabric with some tape to keep things clean, and then used the wood putty to fill in the gaps in the crack as well as even things out. And then I can come back in with some sandpaper and then ultimately match everything up with the stain. Now my last step on this before reassembling the chair is to touch up the little dings and scrapes that come with years of use and moving around. My friend really wanted me to keep some of the character of the chair, namely the armrest where her grandmother would rub her hands on the ends of the armrest, and there's some wear there that I definitely want to keep. But touching up some of these little bits is really going to make the chair look nice while retaining its overall character. And here's the final product. I'm really pleased with how this chair turned out. It went from an old, broken, neglected chair to something that has some character and looks nice and can be used for years to come. I was able to fix this broken leg, repair the crack in the back of the chair, touch up all the little dings and scrapes from years of use, while retaining what makes this chair special to my friend, the fact that her grandmother used this on a regular basis. And now that she's a grandmother, she can sit in there with her grandkids and create new memories with it. Now this was a special project for me, not just because of the skills I picked up in restoring the chair, but because I got to reconnect with an old friend and repair and restore something that was special to her and her family. And that was pretty awesome. She was appreciative, and so much so that she's going to be sending some more projects my way, so stay tuned for those. Thanks so much for following along on this chair restoration today. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, please subscribe to the channel. If you do subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when I post new videos. I appreciate each and every one of you following along. Y'all get out there and make it good. Thanks a lot.